It's Friday night, everybody. You know what that means. It's Friday night. Let's have some fun. Let's get together and play a ton.
Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Jon.
And we're
Friday Night Games.
And we want to immerse you into our love of the hobby by educating and entertaining you through our board gaming adventures. Our podcast lands every Friday, and we create content for Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
This episode is sponsored by TabletopRenaissance.ca, located in our hometown of Windsor, Ontario, Canada. They just launched their web store, so check out TabletopRenaissance.ca for your board game and tabletop miniature needs.
On today's show, we have a very special guest, three-time guest champion of our show, Michael from AthexTube. Hey, Michael, what's up, man?
Hey, guys. Not much. What's happening?
Michael, just quickly throw out there where everyone can find you.
Oh, sure. Yeah, my main platform is YouTube. It's at youtube.com/AthexTube, AthexTube. And I can also be found on Instagram and Twitter at AthexTube as well.
Cool. Well, you agreed for some reason to be on the show again. So on today's show, together, the three of us, we're going to go through the nominees and winners of the 15th annual Golden Geek Awards by Board Game Geek. But there's going to be one catch to it. Jon hasn't seen the list of winners or nominees, so he has no idea what's going on. And because of that, we're going to make him guess every category. So at the end of the episode, you will hear the winner of each category and which game we thought should win, and maybe a little bit of what games we played of those nominated and which ones we played that won. So cool. Michael, how's it been, man? How have you been?
It's been good. Same old as every day with COVID, but I'm thinking we're rounding the end here.
Yeah, my cough. I think my cough's not COVID, guys. I'm just gonna point out to you. I'm just kidding.
Hey, it's getting close to home. I had to get a test this morning.
I'm sorry, Jon. I'm pretty insensitive. I think you know that, though. Michael, what games have you been playing lately? I think, when was the last time you were on the show? Was it February? Like beginning of February, mid-February?
Yeah, I think it was maybe beginning of February. I think the two most memorable games I've played since then were Brass Birmingham and Clash of Cultures.
Wait, what was the two most unmemorable?
I mean, I can't remember them.
Good answer. What's Clash of Cultures? I never know anything about that game.
It's basically Sid Meier's Civilization without the IP title. And the reason why I wanted to play it is it's actually being reprinted this fall, not as a Kickstarter, but just as a bigger edition. So we wanted to get it to the table and see how it was.
And was it good?
I would say it was okay. It's definitely not my favorite Civilization game, but it has really good table presence. So if you want a heavy Civilization game with some cool looking miniatures and stuff, I think this is pretty decent. But for my taste, I would probably take Through the Ages style Civilization game, or maybe even Twilight Imperium is kind of a Civilization game. I'd maybe spend the time and spend a little bit more time and play that.
Very cool. What about Brass? Did you say Birmingham? Birmingham. So we played Lancashire, and we're supposed to play Birmingham, but COVID lockdown happened in Ontario, so we weren't able to do that. But how did you like it? Did you like it better than Lancashire? I don't know if you can remember I think you said you played it. I don't know if you said you can remember playing it.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I did like it better than Lancashire. I think that it's a little bit more accessible. They streamlined a few of the rules, and I think getting into the game is a little bit easier. I think the only downside to Brass, I think it's for both, is they have that weird system where you have to remember how to calculate the distances differently depending upon what you're shipping.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the other thing that was a little bit confusing for people playing, including myself, is a lot of games you can kind of plan ahead a little bit. I feel like in Brass, your moves are so dependent on other players that you really kind of have to wait for them to play before you can even consider what your move might be.
So you're adapting to the situation, basically.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of tactical aspects to it, and I think it's a very good game. It's just teaching new people might be a little bit confusing.
Is it worthy of number 3 on the board, or 2?
For me, I would say no.
Okay,
but that's just my opinion.
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of people got it up to 2 or 3. So, is your opinion right? I don't know.
So one thing is I do a video every week on the current climbers and stuff, and some of it I talk about how a game ends up being high on the list. And one of the factors here is that it's kind of a second edition. So a second edition of a game kind of filters out a lot of the people that didn't like the first edition.
Oh, okay.
So they aren't even going to play it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Wow, that makes a lot of sense actually. Because if everyone loves it who plays it, it's like, well, that's because. So, well, hey, there you go. You just gave a strategy out. If there's any board game people listening, you want your game to get better, just release a second edition.
Yeah.
That's why there's going to be a second edition of the Friday Night Games podcast, so we could get more ratings. Okay, well, this is a little fun, but we're here to talk about we're here to talk about the awards of the year from BoardGameGeek.com, and we're all really excited about it. We all love Board Game Geek. Obviously, you do your climbers videos for it. I mine it. John stays away from it, but we love it. So if you don't know what the Golden Geek Awards are, it is their annual awards. It's voted on by the users of Board Game Geek. So the users nominate and vote on their favorite games. So it is kind of a bit of a popularity contest. How do the two of you feel about it being a popularity contest?
I think for me, I know you said I didn't look at the nomination list, but you did send me the nomination list without the winners. And looking at the list, just seeing some of these games put up against other games is just kind of silly. So if I look at best card game, you got the Fox and the Forest duet up against Dune Imperium.
I think that's fair.
So I'm just yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's all weird.
For anyone who doesn't know,
to me.
Fox and the Forest is a very simple card game of moving a piece along a board and as a co-op game. It's pretty simple to play, and then Dune Imperium has a lot of rules. So to compare that's why comparing the two is ridiculous. What about you, Michael?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's fair. I mean, a lot of awards are popularity contests anyway, and this is just maybe a bigger popularity contest. Dice Tower Awards are going to be a popularity contest with people that contribute to the Dice Tower, and this is just decent section of Board Game Geek.
I definitely agree, and I think one good thing too is that it incorporates everybody, right? Whereas Dice Tower might only incorporate the content creators, which again is I guess they're all contributors, but is the voice of few bigger than the voice of everybody? But then again, everyone who goes to Board Game Geek are power users of board games, right? So maybe you're getting a biased opinion there too.
Yeah, I mean BGG does skew a little bit towards heavier games anyway. So you will see that skew, I think, in the nominations.
All right, should be easy to guess all these winners then.
Well, maybe you could use that strategy, John, to help you.
Yeah.
All right, are you two gentlemen ready for this, or what?
Let's rock it. Let's rock it.
Okay. So the first category is 2-player games. All right, John, you ready for this? So here, I'm just going to name them quick. Aqualin, Cosmic Encounter Duel, Curious Cargo, The Field of the Cloth of Gold, The Fox and the Forest Duet, Glasgow, Imperial Struggle, The Shores of Tripoli, Stellar, Undaunted North America, and Unmatched Cobble and Fog. That is a ton.
It's Undaunted North Africa, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So who do you think won?
Has anyone played any of these games?
Well, that's not how this works.
I'm looking for.
I don't know. I don't have the rules written down. You guess.
Right, so I've played 3 of these games.
Okay. Which ones have you played?
So I played Aqualin. I own 3 of them. Sorry, Aqualin, Fox and the Forest Duet, and Unmatched Cobble and Fog.
Those are the 3 I played.
If I'm gonna pick anything out of the ones I played, I would probably pick Unmatched, just because that game is pretty fun.
What is Unmatched Cobble and Fog? What is Cobble and Fog?
So Cobble and Fog is the set that they released, and it has Dracula, the Invisible Man, Jekyll and Hyde, and Sherlock Holmes are the characters you have the choice to fighting with. And Cobble and Fog, it's just basically you're playing in London, so they have the cobble streets and stuff like that, and then obviously Invisible Man's fog-esque powers and stuff like that.
Have you ever played Unmatched, Michael?
I haven't. It's been on my list to play, but actually I don't know anyone that owns that game. I own a lot of games, but I don't own any Unmatched games.
Yeah, the Unmatched series is really good if you like a good two-player Magic the Gathering light type of game, because it has the elements. Everyone has their own deck, but everyone has their own set deck you play with, and then the deck basically determines your moves. which it's good. It's a really good game. It also is set for like 1 million expansions. And actually, even though this is listed as a 2-player game, it's actually an expansion, I would say. But I guess it's also standalone.
I'd pick Unmatched as the winner, but
Okay.
I would argue that it's not a pure 2-player game because it's for 2 to 4 players.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Unmatched.
Okay.
'cause that's the best one of the ones I've played.
Well, you're wrong. So the winner was Undaunted North Africa, and then runners-up was actually Cobble and Fog and Imperial Struggle. So, Michael, have you played any of those games at all?
I actually haven't played any of them, but based on what I know, I would say Undaunted is probably the right pick there. I think that it gives a, kind of this unique sense of card play and gives you the feeling of being in, I guess, in these tactical combat situations with, this deck building experience that is a little bit different than other deck builders.
You just sold me on it.
Go buy it, man.
I should.
So like I said, I haven't played it, but I've watched a number of videos on the Undaunted series, and I think that if you haven't tried it out, I think it's definitely worthy of a 2-player game, and you can take a look at it online at the reviews and stuff.
Sweet. Well, you just sold me on it, so I'm gonna go buy that right now. And then, actually, of the list and of what I played, Unmatched is one of my favorites. But maybe it deserves to win because it didn't really win anything last year because it was too new.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
And I did hear that Unmatched Cobble and Fog, now that after you explained to me what it was, I did hear that is one of the best Unmatched.
I think so.
Games.
It has the best characters.
Yeah.
To me, I think the characters are fun in that one, especially Invisible Man, which lets you teleport around the board. It's super fun. Okay, well, next category is art and presentation. So we got Calico, Cosmic Frog, Fort, Honeybuzz, Kanban EV, Lost Ruins of Arnak, Oceans, On Mars, Rococo Deluxe Edition, and Tang Garden. It's a lot.
Oh, that's a good list. All those games have great artwork, but I think I'm gonna go with, I'd have to say On Mars, just because that seems to be what everyone like jaw drops about how the game looks department.
Okay.
And seeing it when we attempted to play it after like 24 hours of travel at PAX, it was a gorgeous game to look at.
But you fell asleep on the table.
Yeah, I wish
It's okay.
I wish it was in my collection. It's just I don't have money.
I wish I picked it up because I think I could have got it for like $100, and then
Yeah.
when I came back here, it was like 200 and something. I'm like, whoa, I can't buy this unless my wife wants to kill
Oh,
me.
wow.
Yeah. So on that note, you got it on Mars.
Yeah. Yeah, Ian O'Toole's artwork is great.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And actually, I think I agree with this pick that's probably the best looking game of these, although I would also say that Lost Ruins of Arnak and Kanban EV are also extremely good looking games, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like Kanban EV's look. It's amazing. Just as a note, Arnak was a runner-up, and the other runner-up was Calico, which Calico was cute looking, but I still think On Mars was just like a jaw drop. The presentation of it was just jaw dropping, and the detail they put in everything.
I haven't done a list of like top 10 artists for board games, but I'm pretty certain Ian O'Toole would be, my number one pick, just based on every time he does something, it looks so good, and he does such a good job with the art design of the games.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, actually, on this list, I played most of I guess I'd say I played over half of these games.
Nice.
So this is I guess I like games that have good artwork.
I think, actually, it was funny because I was telling John right before this, so I haven't played Cosmic Frog. Calico I have, Fort I have, Honeybuzz I own but haven't gotten to it. Kanban I haven't, Arnak I have, Oceans I haven't, On Mars I haven't. It's just Tang Garden I have, Rococo I don't. But yeah, I think that's a pretty normal thing. Like if you like the art, it really appeals to you, right? And then you're gonna buy it.
Yeah.
Okay, next category is card games. All right, so we have Abandon All Artichokes, Dale Merchants 3, Dune Imperium, Fort, The Fox and the Forest Duet, Infinity Gauntlet, a love letter game. I'm going to destroy this game. Nidavellir, Oceans, Spicy, and Stellar. Instead of John guessing, let's just talk about the games first, and then we'll do what won after. Sound good?
Okay. Yeah.
So has anyone played any of these games?
I must not play a lot of card games. I've only actually played Fort, although I do want to play Dune Imperium.
Oh, you haven't played
As
Dune
soon as I
Imperium
can.
yet? You haven't played Dune Imperium
No,
yet? Oh, man.
I think the last time I was on, you were telling me to go play it, and I still haven't had a chance.
I'm not judging you because I have a shelf of 20 games right now that I haven't played, so I can't really judge anybody.
Yeah, I've played 4 of these games. So I played Dune Imperium, Fort, Fox in the Forest, and Infinity Gauntlet, a love letter game.
I've seen Spicy played. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
What is Spicy?
Spicy's just like a simple trick-taking game. It basically is like it's funny because John and I originally tried to create a card game like so long ago, and this is a trick-taking bluffing game. John, does that sound familiar?
Yep. I say you put something out in the ether, someone else is gonna take it.
Well, it's different than what we thought of, but it's definitely a trick-taking bluffing game. So you kind of lie, and then whoever lies the best gets the trick. I don't know, something along those lines. It's a pretty neat game though.
I guess the question is, did the crew spur the creation of trick-taking games?
I think it did.
Maybe.
I think it did. Yeah. Well, do you think we're going to see a bunch of new trick-taking games and say next year because of the crew?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I'm not a fan of trick-taking games, so hopefully not. But maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we do kind of see those trends though. When like things are popular, it seems to more games come out. You know, people get on the bandwagon of what's selling a lot, what's popular, what's winning awards. You know, like last year was the Palomino pieces,
which is still happening. Those games are still coming out, right? But no, less of them. And then this year was year of the deck builder, right? Like look at all the deck builders that came out. Michael, did you like Fort, by the way? Just curious.
I thought it was an okay game.
Okay.
I think that its artwork and presentation was maybe better than the gameplay was, but at least just from my opinion. I thought it had some unique ideas with how you the thematic connection to building your fort and how you kind of built your deck differently where people could steal your deck, essentially. And I thought all that stuff was unique, but I think as far as fun gameplay, it was maybe 50% of the people I played it with liked it and 50% just didn't want to play it again.
Yeah, I could tell that we played it a lot because we were trying to it was our first game we were trying to stream a long time ago, about almost 8 months ago now. But I did notice that if the game's not going well for you, it kind of sits really, I don't want to say there's a runaway leader problem, but you almost have a really bad experience if you're losing. Because then you're like, oh, you're not getting the cards, but someone else is getting the cards, and that luck kind of just, the randomness kind of you feel annoyed by it, I guess. That's how I felt when I was losing, because I felt like the draw was going to John, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I think that getting a really good draw in Fort or getting a really bad draw just ends your game, and there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, and then it's hard to catch up.
Yep.
Okay, well, on that note, what does everyone think won the card game of the year?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with my Dune Imperium on that one. That's just
Can you
hands down.
Yeah, what do you think the runner-up was?
You know what? I think Abandon All Artichokes is pretty popular. I don't know if that landed on it.
It didn't.
I would say Fort's probably on that list.
Yep, Fort
and
is.
Maybe Nidavellir.
Nope. Fort Notions,
right,
but still pretty good guess. You know, do you think Dune Imperium is a card game?
I think it's more worker placement.
I think it's more worker placement too
than card game. Yeah,
I think it's more worker placement too. I don't know, if I would say it's the card game of the year.
It won.
Well, I mean, it's technically a worker placement deck building combination, but
yeah,
by the same take, Lost Ruins Arnak could have been on this list too.
Right, and it's not. It's not. But
yeah.
I guess you're right. Dune Imperium's more of a card game than Lost Ruins of Arnak is, arguably. I mean, Lost Ruins of Arnak could be if you made it that way. But yeah, that's a very good point.
I was gonna say, I think what happens when you utilize the cards in Dune Imperium is really important, which I think is lacking in Arnak. Just the available options of how it can power your deck. Maybe that's why it's in here.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is just chosen by people, right?
That's also true. Yeah.
I don't know what people think.
And it's hard to place these games that are multiple mechanisms that are substantial in the game, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if we can go back, but Clank probably won this the year when it came out.
Oh, did it? Yeah, we can go back. I could check that real quick. Honestly, they just keep all their awards in this. If you go to the top and you click on news, open a new tab, you can actually see they list all the winners from previous years just below it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so winner of 2019 card game. Oh no. You know what won the card game of the Wingspan.
Oh yeah.
That's when Wingspan won everything. Remember, they're like card game of the year, podcast of the
Best
year,
podcast. Yeah.
Co-op game of the year. Yeah, Clank Legacy was last year.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess this category fits in with like games that utilize cards as a significant part of the game.
Yeah, I think so. Or that's how people see it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was a great conversation there. Okay, so now we're on Cooperative Game of the Year. So on this one, we got Back to the Future, Back in Time, Chronicles of Crime, 1400, Endangered, Forgotten Waters, The Fox and the Forest Duet, Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, Marvel United, Macro, Crime City, Paleo, and Pandemic Legacy Season 0. It's a lot.
That's a tough list, yeah. Dang. So I've only played two of these. I own 3. I haven't gotten to play Marvel United yet.
I own Forgotten Waters. I played Pandemic, but I don't know, Pandemic Legacy kind of goes back and has a really cool like Cold War theme.
Yeah, have you guys played Pandemic Legacy Season 0 yet?
No, have you?
No, we haven't played any of the Pandemic Legacy games.
Really?
Yeah.
Sorry, Michael. You're so disappointed.
With this lockdown, it's we haven't been able to get together.
I like, Michael, you sounded so disappointed right there. You're like, are you guys kidding me?
I mean, you definitely need to play some Pandemic Legacy when this gets over with, because at least, so I've only played Pandemic Legacy Season 1.
Okay.
I thought it was really cool. I mean, and it's, I think it, you know, the Pandemic Legacy especially really geared themselves towards like people that like board games that, you know, kind of want to explore it a little bit more and have some surprises. Mm-hmm. And I think with a lot of game groups, Pandemic Legacy just, it's a really cool experience. And it feels like, you know, I know some people complain about the fact that, you know, legacy games are kind of like one time through games, mm-hmm. but I really don't have a problem with that. Like Pandemic Legacy, like I feel like after I completed Pandemic Legacy Season 1, I didn't want to play any more Pandemic Legacy Season 1. I went through the story. I felt like it was done, but it does make me want to play. I bought Season 2 and Season 0, and I just haven't gotten them to the table yet, because playing through a legacy game is a fairly big time commitment when there's a lot of other games out there.
Yeah, and that's exactly the problem we have too. Like, we're still on Clank Legacy, and we're still at, I think, halfway through, because, you know, the pandemic will never end at this point. But we're hopeful, and we're hopeful that when we do get our games group back, I would definitely love to play Season 0 actually, because I think the storyline's really cool. So definitely want to check that out. With the Cold War era theme, sounds up my alley.
Oh yeah, it was almost like they thought a real pandemic was going to happen this year, and they decided not to put out.
Yeah, they're like, we don't need to do it. You guys are just playing the pandemic right now.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Man. Okay, well, there's a lot of good games there. What do you think won?
Let me see. You know what? I think I'll probably go with Pandemic as the winner, but it's on the winner list. I don't know if it actually won. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Pandemic. I think it's it. I think people's reception of it, especially versus Season 2, and the comparison between Season 1 and Season 2, Pandemic Season 0 is probably the better game out of that.
Well, the game that won it is actually the one you played. Can you guess that?
Definitely not Fox in the Forest. It has to be Gloomhaven then.
Yeah, totally is Gloomhaven.
Yeah. I mean, that seems to be a given. I don't know. I was kind of hoping. I don't know. Was Pandemic on the list at least?
Pandemic was runner-up. Yeah, that and Forgotten Waters.
Okay, yeah, those would be probably my 3 choices. We have to get Forgotten Waters to the table, because I think that's one I'm excited to play.
Yeah, that is actually one I'm really excited to play too.
That's one of the few that I don't own yet, but I want to pick up. But I would say I agree kind of with... I would say I would agree with you that it was kind of between Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, and Pandemic Legacy Season 0, and one of them just got more votes in this case. Probably pretty close.
Yeah, I was going to say that's like splitting hairs there. They're both probably really good. And then nothing else on that list really jumps out like those two. And then Forgotten Waters, like I've heard really good things. It's going to get good reviews. I have it sitting on my table. That's one of the 20 games, but hopefully we'll get around to it soon.
Oh yeah, I was going to say Forgotten Waters, you know, it got some really amazing reviews, but I also didn't see it continue like its popularity after that. I don't know. I saw it like hit really big at the beginning and then kind of fade out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I know it's like a campaign style game, so maybe once you play it once, you're kind of done with it. So
Yeah.
maybe that's why it faded real quick. And also, it's a Crossroads game, right? So just like Dead of Winter, maybe by the same company. I think they're the same designer too. So maybe once you play Dead of Winter and then you go play that, you're like, I'm all Crossroad games out. All right, so now this is a fun one. I bet you haven't played any of these. How do you guys feel about expansions? Does everyone play a lot of expansions around here?
I play them on, I guess, on the games that I really like. I'll get the expansions for them. A couple good examples on these nominees list were I own Spirit Island, Jagged Earth, even though I haven't played it yet, and I also own TI4 Prophecy of Kings. Mm-hmm. But I did pass on Through the Ages, New Leaders and Wonders, and I didn't pick up the Oceania expansion, although I might if I play Wingspan more.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Like, I'm going to pick up expansions for the games I really love. And actually, it's funny you say that. I have Jagged Earth also. I don't have Twilight Imperium. I haven't played Through the Ages yet. I had the Root Underworld expansion because I love Root. I actually skipped the Marvel Champions Rise of the Red Skull expansion. But it's weird because I picked up the Guardians of the Galaxy expansion because I really like the Guardians of the Galaxy series. Spirecrest, I think you have, right, John?
I do, yeah.
And then the Oceania expansion, I own it. It adds a little bit to the game, but it's not necessarily needed. I think the base game of Wingspan is really good and probably doesn't need all those other expansions, but those other expansions are more for the bird collectors, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, so I will add one thing with the Through the Ages expansion. The other reason why I didn't get it is because I think the only way I'm playing Through the Ages now is if I play on the app.
Oh.
And so if you haven't played Through the Ages, I just recommend going straight for the app at this point because it's so much better than playing it in person. A Through the Ages game in person will take like 3 to 4 hours. An app game will take you less than an hour.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it does all the calculations and stuff for you.
You don't have to wait for people, basically.
I mean, even if you're playing with other people, like I think the app you can join people's games and play with other people. Even then, it will still take you much less time than playing in person.
Wow. Oh, because the computer is like a guide. Right, that's basically what it is.
It'll give you all your options. It'll
right.
Highlight them for you, I think, and then but on top of that, it will do the calculations and the math. There's actually a fair amount of like updating and moving cubes around and stuff with this game that the app takes care of, and it just, I mean, I think if you look around, you'll see a lot of people say the app just in this case really makes the board game less appealing to play.
Gotcha. That's cool. I'm just going to circle back for a quick second here. Remember how, Michael, you were just saying that these expansions are basically you would buy them because you really love a game, correct?
Yeah.
So technically, this is kind of a little bit of a popularity contest of all the games over time. So can you guess what the most popular game is out of this list?
Well, if you're going to say most popular, and if we're going back to the Wingspan era, I'd have to say Wingspan.
Oh, you got
Wingspan.
it. You got it.
Yeah. But you know
hilarious.
what I would like to see? I haven't played at many of these. I've only played actually Spirecrest. Is that good enough to be on the list? I don't know.
The answer to that is yes. It's runner up.
Okay.
What do you think the other one is?
I don't know. Like I would say Root would be the next one.
Oh shoot! I'm sorry. Spirecrest wasn't on the list. I messed that up.
Okay.
I messed that up. But
yeah, it was Spirit Island, Jagged Earth.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which, by the way, John, I know you've never played Spirit Island. It is a fantastic game, and you gotta play it with me. I played over Christmas. I basically played every character, and I played like through all the scenarios. I loved it. It was so much fun, and picking up that expansion was like a no-brainer for me, honestly.
Did you play it solo?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. When I first got the game, I played through a few times solo to learn the game, and I thought it was a really good solo game, and then I played it with other people, and I thought it was even a better game.
Wow, that's crazy.
And the real root of why it's so good is that your abilities combo with other players, and the game difficulty can scale pretty well. So you can make it harder or easier depending upon how good you are at the game. And so you can always kind of have a challenging game and feel like you're always on the brink of losing depending upon how closely you work together.
I mean, even solo, I felt like I was always on the brink of losing, and then you just kind of like have like an aha moment. So I really like to see how the characters interact with each other. That would be fantastic. So hopefully that will come soon.
Another thing that makes Spirit Island great is it's a fairly complex game, and so because of that, it's really hard to have one player that knows everything about how all the spirits work. You really have to focus on your own spirit and then give ideas to your like team of spirits, right? And have people shoot ideas off each other on how to do the best combinations of stuff, because the game is challenging, and if you don't work together and you're kind of doing your own things, you're just going to fail.
So basically it eliminates control. You know how there's always like in your group, you always have that controlling player who kind of tells everyone what to do in a co-op game. So that would eliminate that basically, which is awesome.
Yeah, it really makes it hard to be that player.
That's good.
Now, I guess, do you guys agree with the choice of Wingspan?
No.
I probably wouldn't agree with it, no.
I don't actually. I think Underworld expansion was really good, so I would vote that up. I obviously haven't played Spirit Island Jagged Earth, but I've heard that, you know, with the amount of content it adds, it's kind of good. And also like Twilight Imperium, I haven't also played that one either, but I know like that adds basically a whole nother game. So when I look at it like that, I'm like, well, maybe one of those should have won. Or where Oceania just adds more cards.
Yeah, like what's the value added to the game, right? Like that's when I like thinking of expansion, I think about what more is it giving to me from the base game, right? Like when I look at Everdell, the Spirecrest, it adds a whole other element that hinders your gameplay, which I think is fantastic to the game. Right, and you know, like you just said with Twilight, it adds a whole like another game. Wingspan, if it's just more cards,
What about you, Michael?
They're pretty.
Yeah, I mean, I think I probably would have put Spirit Island. I played Jagged Earth. I know a fair amount about Spirit Island base game, and just the addition of so many spirits and so many new gameplay mechanisms there for such a great game, I think I would put that one at top. Maybe number 2, I'd put TI4 Prophecy of Kings, but I think that there's some. I'm actually surprised it didn't make it higher because TI4 has such a big following.
Maybe it's just people haven't gotten around to playing Prophecy of Kings yet, so they're reluctant to vote for it. Maybe that's my thought.
Could be, or maybe they're still playing their 8-player games.
Maybe
They still haven't finished them.
Yeah. They're like, dude, yeah, it'll be the game of the year 2021 or something. Well, you didn't play Twilight Imperium, Prophecy of Kings? Oh, you crazy. Okay, so let's move into innovative games. Okay, there's a lot here. I'm gonna list them off quick. So Beyond the Sun, Cosmic Frog, Dune Imperium, Forgotten Waters, Lost Ruins of Arnak, Micro Macro Crime City, My City, Pendulum, The Search for Planet X, and Super Skill Pinball 4Cade. That's a lot. That's a good list. That's actually a good list of games right there.
Yeah, and it's like an eclectic mix too, like a lot of good variations.
Yeah. I'm liking that.
Actually, this kind of highlights how innovative this year was in terms of gameplay compared to some years.
Yeah.
I'm interested in this Micro Macro Crime City. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it on social media the past couple of days, and it looks pretty interesting. It's like a big giant, almost like it's a big giant city map. Almost looks like a blueprint, and you're trying to solve crimes that are like illustrated on this map.
Oh, it's like my day job.
Now, so this is actually a game that I was tracking showed up on the top 10 climbers like a few months ago. And I was kind of watching it since then. And actually, no pun included, ended up doing a review on it.
Oh.
Maybe a month ago on this game.
Did you like it?
They liked it, but they said that some of the, because you're searching for crimes, they said some of the crimes really aren't family-friendly crimes. Like they're kind of like adult-oriented crimes. And you would think that this would be more of a family-friendly game. And I think I would agree with them that the company that made this really needs to make another version of this that's like family-friendly. And that would really, take this to the next level.
I'm surprised they didn't make it family-friendly. Like, I mean, you could easily do that, right? Like,
yeah. I looked at the artwork, and like the artwork to me indicates that I can play it with my kids. And then it's like, oh no, you can play the game as soon as you get the box. Who murdered the burger guy? And I was like, okay, maybe I can't play it with my kids.
Yeah, and I think they just needed to rethink that. I mean, the artwork makes it look like it's a game you would sit down and play with your kids. Yeah. I think it would be an amazing game to play with your kids if it had the right themes and the right, maybe instead of these crimes being like serious crimes, maybe make them like kid crimes or something.
Yeah.
Like like someone stole something at a playground or something.
Yeah, make the map like Disney World or something, and then like have all the crimes in Disney. I'm a genius. They're $1 million game right there.
There you go.
$1 billion game, actually. Yeah.
Okay, so what are we defining as innovative here, though? Let's see.
Yeah, that's actually the toughest part. Like, what is the innovative part of these things?
I think usually with BGG, it's like innovative mechanisms and maybe innovative fun gameplay.
So if I'm gonna go with that, I would say like Pendulum. Like I think that had a really cool like the time mechanic in that. You know, using the sand timers to plan your moves and do your moves as quickly as possible was chaotic and a lot of fun. I really dig the deck building worker placement games. I really loved playing Dune Imperium and Lost Ruins of Arnak. My city was cool. I want to dive into it more. I would like to finish the legacy game, but yeah, I think I would go with Pendulum on this one.
I really like Super Skill Pinball 4K. Actually, I know it's just a roll. It's another roll and write game, but I don't know. I really enjoyed that. It was just really fun trying to get like a high score on it. It seemed like a very different game to me. What about you, Michael?
Well, so I haven't played most of these, but I think the one that I guess I know what the answer is, but the ones that I would think were the most innovative were probably Micro Macro Crime City, and I would kind of be a toss-up between Pendulum and Search for Planet X.
Yeah, I think Pendulum was very unique. I don't know anything about Search for Planet X. I have like no idea.
Okay, I can tell you a little bit about Search for Planet X. I haven't played it yet, but it's a game that it was actually sold out for a long time. You couldn't even get your hands on it.
Okay.
So this is a deduction game. Probably the closest thing to this that I know about, or that I've played, is The Alchemists. I don't know if I think it's called The Alchemists. Have you played that one?
No.
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
So that one, it's a worker placement game that also has a deduction aspect and it uses an app to do deduction, just like Search for Planet X. But basically, it'll randomly generate this world of where there's these formulas for, I guess, alchemical components, and you have to combine like these different alchemical things to create these formulas, and it changes with each game. So there's basically no two games alike. And the goal of the game is to deduce these things before the other players and publish papers on them. The problem I always had with The Alchemists is that, to me, the fun part of the game is the deduction part. And the unfun part of the game is the slow worker placement and the complex rules. So what the Search for Planet X did is it said, forget all these complex rules, forget all the, worker placement, all this other stuff. We're just going to make a deduction game here that, people can play at different difficulties. We can make it easier or harder. And we get rid of all this other stuff that went with Alchemists. And I think that's why it's innovative. It really, because as far as I know, no one else has been able to do that. I suggest taking a look at it if you haven't.
I have it on order. It just hasn't come in. I'm like, oh.
It looks to me like an amazing game.
Yeah. It sounds really cool. So I definitely want to try it. Okay, so John, what do you think won?
I went with Pendulum.
Okay, no. Actually, it was Micro Macro Crime City.
Okay.
And then the runner-ups were Search for Planet X. That's funny. And then Beyond the Sun.
Yeah, I don't know if I really agree with Beyond the Sun. It is a game I want to play, but it just seems to me that the only innovative thing in there is the building of the tech tree.
Yeah, and then, I don't know, is that innovative?
I guess I haven't heard of another game that does that, but...
Yeah. I don't know. I guess like it's kind of hard, right? Because they're all like obviously like I don't think Dune Imperium and Lost Ruins of Arnak is innovative. Like it is innovative in the way that it might be one of the first. It's probably not the first, but the way it does do worker placement with deck building, I think that's really cool. But I don't know if it's like super innovative, right? Like let me just combine these two mechanics. Search for Planet X sounds really cool because you just kind of sold it to me. That's the only game that does this thing, right? Pendulum, I know I played it, is super fun. Then again, I don't know. Is there other games with timers? I think there is. I think there's other games with timers. Hot Potato? Does that count?
There's lots of real-time games, but this is the only like competitive worker placement real-time game.
Okay.
And I was skeptical that it would work until I played it. And
right.
It did. It does work.
Yeah. And I think we talked about this before, the three of us, and I really liked it, and John really liked it. And I think you said you played it with one group and liked it, but another group you didn't.
Yeah, I thought it was an okay game. I think the only negative to the game is that two negatives is it's pretty intense. I don't know if you guys found that.
Yep.
It's kind of an intense game, and I feel like as we played it more, the game became kind of maybe too easy for me.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Once you understand the pattern of how you're supposed to play and what you're supposed to get, yeah, I could agree with that 100%. It becomes kind of just
I think for a lot of people, it's a great game, and I do like that you can complete the game in about an hour.
Yeah, I actually think that's amazing. And like it's like, most game boxes are like, oh, it's gonna be an hour, and you look at it and you're like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. This is gonna be an hour, but this game is actually gonna be an hour, which is pretty sweet. So we have Game of the Year in front of me right now after Innovative, but we're going to leave that to the very end. And if you're listening right now, that means next podcast.
Dun, dun, dun.
But it will be a lot of fun anyway, so make sure you listen to the next podcast where we go through. Actually, you know what? Let's do one of them. Let's end on one of them.
Okay.
Which one do you want to do? And we'll save the next two for the next podcast.
Well, I guess we can end on the light game of the year and then do the last two.
Sounds good. So this is a lot of games I know about or have played. So we got Abandon All Artichokes, Bites, Hues and Cues, Marvel United, Micro Macro Crime City, Monstrosity, Mysterium Park, Project L, Santa Monica, Spicy, and Trekking the World for Light Game of the Year. It's exciting.
Yeah, there's a lot of good choices on there. I haven't played them all. I think I've played only like 2 out of these ones.
Oh, you played Mysterium
Unfortunately.
Park. Project L is really cool. It's like a little Tetris-y, very simple Tetris-y game.
I think, I had a lot of fun playing Hues and Cues. Is it the best game of the year for a light game? Probably not. Marvel United has some cool... I like the theme of Marvel United, and I like how the heroes kind of share abilities to beat the bad guy. But I think I had a lot of fun playing Mysterium Park.
I did too, actually. That game is amazing. I could actually recommend that as kind of like an introduction to Mysterium and Dixit. So like if you really wanted to get people in, because Mysterium and Dixit are more of like picture games, right? You're trying to use a picture to get someone to guess something very specific using that picture. It's a lot different than games you would play. So that game is very easy to set up. It sets up in like 5-10 minutes. You can easily explain it, and it'll definitely help getting people who aren't necessarily love the genre into playing it, I feel.
And you mentioned Marvel United. Your favorite thing was the theme. My favorite thing is the minis.
Oh,
I really like
those. Oh, have either of you started painting them yet?
No,
I haven't.
Oh,
no,
man.
I have a big backlog on painting. I actually have been meaning to do a painting session with my wife, but maybe this summer.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wasn't into painting the minis until we actually did it once. Very on like a stream.
I had this like 3-inch like Batman statue I had purchased. So I was like, I really want to see how this works, and I painted it. I think it looks pretty cool. And I got in like a mystery pack, but I actually happened to have the original one as well, so I can compare the two together. So I was pretty excited with how that turned out. I did that the other day, but I haven't painted anything else.
Oh yeah, it looked nice.
Yeah, I would say Mysterium Park.
Okay.
For the light game of the year.
Does light game usually? I feel like a lot of party games are light games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think they have a party category. It just kind of jumps into the light game.
They did last year. I think they just got rid of it this year. It didn't make sense, right, with the pandemic.
True.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, who's going to be playing a party game?
I think also last year they just did Game of the Year, and it didn't necessarily have to be light, medium, or heavy, too. So it looks like they changed the categories a little bit. So you're going with Mysterium Park?
I am.
No. Game of the Year. Game of the Year is actually Micro Macro Crime City. I'm actually sold on this game now. I'm ordering it right now. It's up and I'm ordering it.
It's on like pre-order right now, I think.
Yeah.
At least where...
Does that annoy the both of you? How like these games are up for like the Game of the Year, but you can't actually get a lot of them?
Yes.
Well, you could get so Micro Macro. I think this is a second printing that's on pre-order. It was after No Pun Included did their review. It basically sold out everywhere the next day.
Yeah, that's a shame. I mean, that means it's good, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that after you play this game, like I said, just don't think you can play it with your kids. I think that's really the only flaw in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's really an adult game to play, but I think even with adults, it looks amazing, and it looks like the people that designed this really, I don't know, had a really great idea for a game and really executed on it well. I just think that they should have also thought about the other applications, and hopefully they come out with family friendly version of this.
Yeah, I think a family-friendly version would be amazing, as we discussed a little bit earlier. Sweet. Runners up were Project L and Santa Monica. So I have Santa Monica on our shelf, and that was a game I wanted to play. Again, the pandemic stopped us, but I'm looking forward to playing that game. And then Project L wasn't even available in Canada until very recently, which is unfortunate. Okay, so next is Medium Game of the Year and Heavy Game of the Year, but we're going to skip that. And that, if you want to listen to that, that will be on the next podcast.
All right, if you like what you hear, don't forget to like us on your favorite streaming platform and give us a review on Apple Podcasts. You can follow us on our social media, Instagram @FridayNightGames_official, Twitter @FridayNightGMS, TikTok @FridayNightGMS, or you can check out our website, FridayNight.Games. If you have a game that you'd like for us to preview on our podcast, shoot us at info@FridayNight.Games. And again, I'm John.
I'm Matt.
And it's Friday night, so let's have some fun.